Why, hello, everybody. Hello, my spooktacular friends. It is I, Ghost Guy JD. Hi, everybody. JD Laureate here from Haunted House Flippers. I hope everyone's doing really wonderful today. Happy Saturday. Thank you all for coming to hang out with me today. It really means a lot. First and foremost, please let me know if there's anything weird with the stream. I have never streamed to YouTube before, so this is a first. So hopefully everything is good here. Happy 2025, everyone. I wanted to have music going, but the song has been playing for like 20 minutes, and I don't know if I can keep listening to it. Anyway, it's been a bit. I'm really sorry about that. We had a really good run for those first 2 years. I was putting out two episodes a month, and I'm going to be honest, I have no idea how I was doing that. I have absolutely no idea how I was doing 2 episodes a month. But everything was fine. And then we got to season 3, which, for those of you just joining, I imagine everybody knows why we're here, which is I'm going to announce what we're doing going forward. So I just kind of wanted to give a little bit of an explanation as to kind of what's been going on, and what the delay is for. But yeah, everything was good, and then we got to season 3, and season 3 itself wasn't particularly problematic itself. It wasn't. I'll get to that. But really, it was kind of the universe just decided that it was just gonna screw with everything. And so we just had so many problems that came up during production, during recording, during writing, everything. And I want to start just by thanking everybody, because all of you have been so patient, so kind and caring while y'all have been waiting for new material. And I believe the last time I put anything out was May of last year. So y'all have been real patient. But yeah, I just want to do a little catch up here, and I thought this was kind of the best way to do it. I've got notes. I actually wrote out like an entire script to read from, and I'm like, I don't know why I did that. I don't even read the scripts that I've written for the show. We just kind of go. So one thing that I just want to notate real quick is, please chat away amongst yourselves. Leave whatever comments you like. Have conversations with each other. If you have any specific show questions, save them for the end. We are going to do a little Q&A. I've had some folks send in some questions that I'm going to be answering anyway, but I want to make sure I don't miss anything. All right, so most of the delays you guys are all aware of. Most of them going to be summed up as life got in the way, or depression is one hell of a beast. But I want you all to know that there isn't a day that's gone by that I haven't thought about this show, which is infuriating to have it on my mind all the time and honestly not be able to do the work. And, as I think most of you know, because I've been really transparent, really open about, mental health issues and depression and shit like that. But, over the past year, I've dealt with a whole bunch of hurdles, some of that being mental health stuff, some of that being personal. We've had other folks on the show, some other folks in the cast who have had their own variety of issues that have come up. And while I've managed to work through a lot of it, I just haven't been able to sit down and really work on the show. And I thought that being able to just hunker down and work on stuff and get stuff done was going to invigorate me. And so last fall, Melissa came up and we spent an entire day. I had 5 episodes written, and we recorded 5 episodes worth all in one day, and it was awesome. It was fun, and I was super excited. The first editing production that I was going to need to do was going to be super easy because I just needed to fix the Janet audio from the most recent episode that we had put out. And that was just, a lot of you noticed that her audio wasn't good, and that was an unfortunate thing where when she went to record it was her camera, not her nice mic. So I'm like, that'll be easy. I can just get that out of the way. And then I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. No matter what I did. I'd sat down and I'd get everything ready, and I just couldn't do it. This is where therapy comes in. So through a whole bunch of therapy sessions, kind of picked it apart that there's a little part of me inside that is scared to end the show. Which part of that makes sense? And part of that makes sense because I've been working on this show since 2020. This was a stupid little one-off idea, and we never expected it to explode out. This was supposed to be just a fun little side project, something to do while we couldn't leave the house. And so I had this stupid little idea in my head and grabbed a couple of friends and have some laughs, and a couple of our friends would listen. We'd chuckle about it. We'd never go back to it. And then all of you people started listening to the show, and after like the second month, it just kind of exploded. Hold on. I see Fox's message. Before I go, as a fellow creative, never apologize for how long it takes to... Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. But yeah, so throughout therapy, like I said, I realized that like I was afraid to end it. And, there is a big part of it where it's like, this is my baby. I loved what we've done with this. This was so important to me. But at the same time, one of the reasons I was taking breaks is because I overworked myself, between working on this constantly, as well as the rest of my life, upkeeping with my home, property, family, relationships, band, all this other stuff that I was doing. It became so much. And so I needed that little bit of a break. And my therapist actually encouraged me to take a hiatus. And I'm like, what do you mean take a hiatus? I'm like, I haven't done anything in like 5 months. I'm like, I've been on hiatus. And she's like, yeah. She's like, but have you thought about the show during that time? I'm like, every single day. She's like, then you didn't take a break from it. You just weren't doing the work. I'm like, beans. So as many of you are aware, on like Discord, whatnot, I made it a point to actually take a break and not worry about it. And my plan was to come back to it and start working on it in February and have something up for you here in March. That was my plan. March, April at the latest. I wanted to have some new content for you. And I just couldn't. The idea of sitting here to work on a 25-minute episode that will take me 20 to 30 hours to make. I just couldn't do it. I didn't have the passion behind it. Like, I love the show. I love everything about it. I want to keep doing it, but like, I just couldn't figure out what the problem was. And so we kept digging. And also for those of you who may not be aware, I'm the sole producer of the show. No one else does the editing. And it's not that nobody's offered. Both Adrian and Melissa have been like, we would love to help you, but you have a very specific way. And like, that's kind of the art, is how it's produced. And it's true. I mean, I'm very, very particular about it. So it's like, it's really, really hard for me to hand that off to anybody. Like, I just kind of want to do it myself, but it's a lot of work. So anyway, so we did more digging. So what is the real problem? The real problem is that when season 3 comes to an end, the show, this story, is over. Haunted House Slippers was never designed to be a like a Welcome to Night Vale or a Old Gods of Appalachia, where it's episodic, and each piece is just kind of its own thing, and it can go on forever. Haunted House Flippers has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And so this story does have an end to it. We have ideas of how to keep going with it. But this particular story has to come to a close. And it occurred to me that when season 3 ends, when it's all done, this is an art piece of mine that I have been creating since 2020 that will then be put on display in the art gallery known as the internet forever. Because we all know it doesn't matter if you take something down. Once something is on the internet, it's on the internet forever. The problem with that is that I am not happy with this art piece. And I know that statement is probably going to come as a shock to a lot of you. Because when I've talked to people about this ahead of time, a lot of folks were like, I thought you were really proud of this. I'm like, oh, I am. Being proud of this show and being happy with the product are two entirely different things. I am wildly proud of what we've accomplished. I am wildly proud of the incredible talent that has joined me on this show up until this point and helped me create it. Absolutely. Everybody's been fantastic. And the brainstorming and the world building that we've done so far has been awesome. But there are just so many things that I am unhappy with. And there's a bunch of really little things. So over this time, I now have a much better understanding of general audio mixing and audio production. I went to school for audio production and radio broadcasting, and I did that right before radio died and everything went to streaming. But this was the exciting part for me with this show, was that I got to really kind of dig into that back corner of my brain and pull out all of this old production knowledge. And it was really cool to get back into this. But as I've gone on, I've learned a lot, because I've never done a podcast before, and I don't really call this a podcast. It is, for lack of a better term, it is an audio drama, because when I think of a podcast, I think of this. Y'all come and listen to me sit and babble about something. But it's an audio drama, But, I've learned a lot, because I'd never done one of these before. And so a lot of it was learning as I went. And there's a lot of things that I would have liked to have done differently, both in terms of just general production value, just understanding mixing better, understanding Foley better, because I'm not sure if y'all are aware, I make most of my own sound effects. There are very, very few that I go and find online. I try and record everything my own. And yes, the Natalie raccoon scene, I did have to go and find raccoon sounds. I didn't have a raccoon available to record. But yeah, so there was a lot of that. There was a lot of that audio mixing and volume issue and stuff I wanted to redo and fix for years. I just never had the time, because the show is such a handful to keep going. The idea of going back to fix little things, I just didn't have the time for. And then there's a bunch of character, different character types and their dynamics that I wanted to adjust. Everybody's aware of, the Tom and Janet dynamic that didn't work at the beginning. I wrote the characters a certain way. They didn't come off the way that I had intended. And so for the first couple episodes, Janet just kind of comes across as being an abusive wife. And obviously we didn't want that. So we completely redid their dynamic. And so now if you go back, if you haven't already, if you go back and listen to the first, I think 5 episodes, there's a disclaimer at the very beginning that talks about how if this dynamic makes you unhappy, it does change in episode 6, because we got a lot of feedback about that. And we don't ever want to make anyone uncomfortable with any of our character interactions. So I've always wanted to go back and rewrite that, but with what time? And, there's a bunch of other character dynamics and interactions that I've wanted to just kind of tweak a little bit here and there. And then not to mention the amount of unintentional red herrings that have been in the show. Like, just so many things that were like sprinkled in there that we didn't go back to. The amount of like wildly over the top spooky things that occurred that everyone just ended up kind of being okay with. Like, a casket disappears. That's fine. Body size mounds in the basement. Totally normal everyday thing. Besides, what basement? What clock workshop? Let's never go back there again. It was obviously a pacing issue. The real big one is all of that. It's the show more or less was writing itself as I went. This felt really, really awesome from just from an artistic and creative outlet perspective. And like, I really believe that like this is why the dialogue has always felt like so natural and clean, is because I just kind of let the characters talk. I just let the story go. And even though I did have plot points that I wanted to hit, the show ultimately ended up moving way too fast. And by the time I realized it was too late. There wasn't any way to really go back. Ultimately we jumped to the haunted part really, really fast, and we didn't really focus much on the house flipper part so much. And like, I'd always had it in my head it was a 3-season show because my brain was like, it is a beginning, a middle, and an end, so 3 seasons. And the pacing of season 1 was kind of fine, but then I realized that we have a lot to get through to wrap this up in 3 seasons. But I kind of feel like, when I was talking with my therapist about this, I told her, I'm like, I feel like this is a 6-season show, and I have given everybody seasons 1, 5, and 6. And like, we just skipped all the middle stuff. We went from like minor spooky stuff to all of a sudden we're investigating, a massive murder and cults and stuff like that. And I'm not good with it. So really, it's entirely because of me, because, if you haven't guessed already, I write this as I go. A good friend of mine, Mike Gagney, who actually, he's the one who played the sheriff. He's got his own podcast, which we've promoted on here. I think it's on hiatus right now. But he had told me his production schedule. And it was like, yeah, because I remember he messaged me and a handful of other audio drama and storytellers. He was all excited. He was like, yeah, I just wrapped up editing this season, and I'm going to be releasing the first episode tomorrow. And I'm like, what? You just finished the whole season? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, how does this work? What do you mean? And he told me that what he does is he writes for 3 months, then he records for 3 months, he produces for 3 months, and then he takes 3 months off when the show is ready to go. And I'm like, oh my God. Because what I was doing was I would finish producing an episode and it would go live usually the next day. So when all y'all got a notification that a new episode was come out, that meant very likely I was up until 11 or 12 the night before wrapping that up. And the moment it went live, I was beginning to edit the next one. I probably had it recorded, but I was going to start editing the next one. And it was like, while I was editing that one, I was recording the following. And while we were recording the next one, I was writing the one after that. I never had more than 2 scripts done at a time. Not a good way to go. Not a good way to do this. So that's one major change, is that I need to get better with how I'm writing the seasons. So basically, the point of this is that, if I missed anything, or I ended up going down a story path or arc either incorrectly or too quickly, I had no way to redact that. Okay, Tom, get to the point. The point is that I am unhappy with where the story is and where it is headed and what I have given you so far. And there is only one way to fix this. And when I say to fix this, I ultimately to fix this for me, like, and also for you, to give you the best product and content that I can. Not product, I'm not selling anything. The best content that I can, the best level of entertainment, is to start the show over. I'm going to be rebooting Haunted House Flippers from the start. I've talked with everybody on cast already. Everybody is on board with this. I want to give you a better show. I want to give you the content that you want, but I also want to give you the content. I have pages and pages and pages of unused content that got skipped over, that we never went back to, that we never expanded upon. There is just countless ideas that we have that we just never got to because I decided to cram all of this into 3 seasons, and it didn't work. So this is going to get bigger. Now, I had considered putting this to a vote and letting all of you decide if you would rather I start over just like this for all these reasons, or if you would rather I just keep going and finish out the show as it is with what I have. But, and you can blame my therapist for this one. I'm doing what is best for me. It's just not a normal, it's a weird thing for me to say. It's not a normal thing for me. I typically do what other people want over what I want. But because if we continue on this exact path, if this was a situation where, every single one of you voted and said, please finish the show as it is, I'm going to hate every minute of it because I'm not happy with it. I'm going to struggle. It's going to be not a monthly release. There's going to be delays because I'm not going to have the motivation to do it. So this is just going to work a lot better, I think, all around. Oh no, why is my nose so itchy? Stop it. So I know there's a bunch of questions you're all asking, like, when does this start? Actually, there's some questions coming in already. Are the current releases going to be scrubbed, or are they going to be archived and still listenable? That is a great question, Gwen, which was one that I had in my head and didn't get a chance to write down on my little list here. So the current episodes will remain up on streaming until I have the new content ready to go. Once the new content is ready to go, they're going to be pulled from streaming, but they will still be, I'm just going to host them on the website. So they will still be available there. Actually, I think no, sorry. I'm not going to host them on the website. They'll be linked on the website, but they're going to be hosted right on YouTube. So you will still be able to get to the old stuff. They'll still be available. It just won't be streamable once the new stuff goes live. So a handful of questions to just get them out of the way. So when does this start? I have already started recompiling all of my notes. And basically reading through all the scripts to figure out, what do I need to change? What is staying the same? What gaps am I filling in? That's going to take a little bit. Because I basically have to re-listen to all of my own show. So I don't have a real start date. There is just a lot of behind-the-scenes work that needs to be done. Like I said, it's already started, but it is going to take a little bit of time. I will keep you all updated as we go. So, like I was just saying, just kind of addition on that. When will everyone see the first reboot episode? I don't know. There is going to be a bit of a delay. Concern that came up from a friend of ours is, what if you remove or change something that we really, really love? And honestly, that is where I want your input, all of you. If you are not already in our Discord, please join it. It is now open to the public. It used to be only accessible to folks on our Patreon. If you head over to our website, there is a link to the Discord. Please go and join that. When this is all done, I'm going to be creating a channel called Reboot Requests. And I want to know what your What are your favorite moments? What are things you do not want me to change? I'd also like to hear like things that you were unhappy about. Or not necessarily unhappy, but things that you wished had gone differently. Like, it doesn't mean that I'm going to go that route, but I do want to know that. I do like the input for that. But yeah, like if there's stuff that you desperately do not want to change, you know, like my mom messaged me when I was telling her about this. She's like, I was thinking about it. She's like, please do not remove the grandfather clock, because the sound of the grandfather clock that is in the show belonged to my grandfather, who passed away many years back. And that currently sits in the living room at my folks' house. But my mom really wanted to make sure that that didn't leave. I've had people tell me, please, good Lord, do not remove the raccoon chase scene. I've had people tell me, please don't remove Jefferson. So like stuff like that, like that's, please tell me the things that are your favorite. Tell me things that you, even ideas, like even if it's not anything that like we've done or touched on, but if you have ideas for like, oh, it'd be really cool if you had this scene, I'll take it into account. Maybe it's an idea that fits in. I love input, you know, especially from people that love the show as much, if not more than me. Definitely want to keep Janet's snarky names. Oh, don't worry. Janet's insults are not going to change. We have a very, very lengthy document of Janet insults. Most of them have been written and compiled by Lee, which is really funny. But yeah, no, those will not go away. I promise you. There's going to be a handful of episodes, I think, that are going to more or less be exactly the same. Some of them may not even be changed. You know, some of them may just end up having like a little bit of additional tweaks added in, but I don't think there's going to be like massive changes to every episode, at least at the beginning. Because like I said, season 1 wasn't bad. Definitely want to keep the tour guide. Yeah, actually, I was thinking about that. I actually, the only thing I might change on that is some of the background voice acting, but otherwise that episode that's super important, and that the tour guide episode is actually kind of what shaped Tom and Janet as characters to what we have now. So that will definitely happen. One thing that is going to change, because I do have a good amount of changes that are going to happen. Some of them are big. Most of them are plot related that we haven't gotten to yet. The insult list needs to be shared once the show is over. I can do that. But yeah, so there are going to be some bigger changes to characters and story arcs that most of, like I said, we haven't gotten to yet. One that I will tell you that I am going to adjust is the radio station. Because the original concept of WHHF was to be an homage to Welcome to Night Vale, because I've listened to that for a long time, and like it, in a way, it was a big inspiration to kind of push me to go this route. You know, this and things like, you know, Twin Peaks and Alan Wake and all this different media of this like kind of spooky weird town stuff. And so that's why I always throw in little references to different media like that. But creating the radio station has always been like, I feel like I'm skirting the line of it just becoming like Welcome to Night Vale. And I don't want that. I want it to be its own thing. So the radio station is going to change. It's still going to be spooky and weird and the only station that's available in the town. But I need to change it because it is getting a little, because I actually had somebody comment one day. They're like, oh, I love the radio show. It's just, they had said the words, it's just like Welcome to Night Vale. I'm like, no, can't do that. I don't want it to be just like another piece of media. I want people to go, this reminds me of Welcome to Night Vale, and that makes me happy. This reminds me of Twin Peaks. It makes me happy. That's what I want. I don't ever want something to be like, I feel like you took this from another show. So that is going to be changing. We've got some other bigger stuff. Not necessarily anything that's going to be like shocking as like a plot change, but we want to do more in the town, because the town is also intended to be just weird. So I'm going to be doing that. The town's going to get bigger, and we're going to see more of the residents of the town. And that's another piece, is that when the show started, it was literally just intended to be like 3 characters. It was just Tom, Janet, and Lee. And then as the show's gone on, the list has gotten bigger. If I had known that at the beginning, a lot of these characters would have been introduced sooner. So like I want to have like the sheriff and Opal and Juniper, and whether it's folks from the grocery store, delivery people, a librarian, I want them to appear sooner. Even like the private Nathan Graham, the PI. Like, I want him to have an appearance, because I want it to be, I want it to be something to where when something happens to them, you care about that character. So I want to build a bigger world for that. The other thing is we're going to be expanding the house and the property. And honestly, like, from in my head, consider like taking into account like what the plans were, the property should be big and the house should be big. But when recording it, it's always felt very small and very confined. And I want to fix that, because it should be big. Urge you to have the original HHF still up on the feed, maybe labeled differently or something. I love the original, and I'm not going to stop recommending the original. That's valid. That is one thing that I had considered doing, was to, rather than taking the original down off of streaming services, was to relabel them, just to make it very, very clear that it is an original version versus a reboot. So let me ponder on that. My biggest thing is I just want to avoid confusion, but it can definitely be relabeled. So I think we can make that work. And folks, please feel free to keep tossing questions in there. I don't have a whole lot left here. I've had some folks ask about if I'm going to reopen the Patreon. I don't know. I'm not going to lie and say that the extra income from the overall support wasn't nice, but like I didn't really make a lot. It basically just covered like the general expenses of like hosting the website, and on the occasion that I needed to pay for the music, like the intro and outro music that I use, was I purchased that, something like that. But it was nice. I am considering monetizing in some way, but it will depend on the specifics behind it. Because obviously the only way that I can really monetize the show is with an ad. And I absolutely will not run an ad in the middle of an episode. I promise you I will never ever do that. I'd only be able to get the monetization if people listen to the ad. So it might be something where it's at the very, very beginning, because most people will dip out at the very end, because I don't expect all of you to listen to like the closing credits every single time. But the only I had an idea for how I could possibly make it work on occasion in the middle of an episode, but I don't know. Like, it would have to be very clear. It'd have to be clean. So I'm not going to say one way or the other if I'm going to go to ads. I don't want to do that. But yeah, you will never be in the middle of an episode and just all of a sudden have an ad come on. The one thought that I had regarding the ability to put it in the middle of an episode would be if I was able to write in a radio show segment in the middle of an episode, which then went to a commercial break, run a 30-second ad. That's part of it. And then we come back to the episode. But I wouldn't be able to do that for every episode. That would just become just really repetitive and annoying. But for now, don't worry about ads. I'm not that's not my focus and never has been. Speaking of all that, as we near the end, so just so you know, folks, I'm going to be wrapping this up relatively shortly. So if you do have more questions, please toss them into the chat. Otherwise, put them in the Discord, or you can email me, and I will answer everything. So last week or so, I went out and had dinner with Melissa to talk about this whole thing. And prior to going out, I decided to look at the analytics for the show. If ads, Patreon for ad-free feeds. That is a nice way to go. That is something I will need to look into how to doing. I'm a writer, JD. I need to look into how to doing. Jesus. I will need to look into how to do that. Because I know a lot of shows will do. If you support the Patreon, you get the ad-free versions. I'm just not sure how to link that to how to get like the ad-free to go to streaming services, but that's something I can dig into that later. But that is a good way to go. Thank you for that suggestion. I appreciate you. When we first started the show, I hosted everything through a service called Anchor. And Anchor was great. I loved Anchor. And it gave me some good analytics, but nothing phenomenal. Like it didn't give me a lot of details. And some of them were kind of iffy as how correct they were. But then Anchor got bought out by Spotify. And originally I like Spotify. It's fine. But I'm like, I kind of bummed that big corporation bought out little guy. But I will say Spotify's analytics are just top tier, just chef's kiss. They give you everything. They tell you how many listens across every streaming service, how many people are following on Spotify, and monthly 30-day listens, 90-day listens, everything. Before I went on hiatus, so about 5-6 months ago, I looked at the analytics. And I was very happy with the numbers I saw. We were at like 37,000 listens, which was wild to me. Absolutely, just blows my mind. And like looking at the 30 and 90-day trend, we had a decrease in listens. I expected that. I hadn't put out content in months. So I went and looked a week back, and we currently have over 266,000 listens to the show, with over 3,000 people following just on Spotify. And in the past 30 days, the show has had over 7,000 streams in the past 30 days, with over 80 new followers. And this just blows my mind because we don't run ads. I don't promote this show. I'm really bad at marketing. I am wildly bad at marketing. So I don't promote this anywhere. So literally, all of those amazing numbers are because of you. Because all of you talk about this show and spread the word. Just word of mouth everywhere. And I cannot thank you enough. Between the amazingly kind and caring letters that you have sent me, between the random comments and reviews that we've gotten on various episodes and that I found on Reddit threads, I have found fanfic of the show. We've been sent fan art. Like, all of that is just incredible and mind-boggling to me. So I can't thank you all enough for that. Like, that's what keeps me going. That's what makes me want to keep doing this. Because there have been times where I'm just like, I could just stop and just walk away. Like, I have no contract to fulfill. I have no real obligation. But like, then the moment I start to think that, like, one of you ends up sending me an email and this amazing letter. And like, I've had people tell me that this is their favorite show ever. I've had people tell me that this show has helped them through really, really dark and hard times. I've had people tell me that, they have family either in like Russia, Ukraine, and this is what they listen to get through those times, and getting sent fan art. And like, I've literally cried over some of your letters before, just so you know. That's why I gotta do this, like, I want to finish this. I want to finish this for me. And so, yeah, so we're going to, but we have to start over first. Writers can't always function well within the moment of speech. Can't workshop before it hits the mouth. Yeah, no, a lot of times words just tumble out of my mouth. They don't always make sense. But that's how I write Tom. All right, friends. Again, thank you so much for coming to hang out with me. Really, really means a lot that y'all came out to listen to this. I hope you are all as excited as I am to do this. So I'm going to wrap this up. I'm going to leave the stream running for probably just a couple of minutes here. Like I said, if you have questions, dump them in here now and I will answer them. Otherwise, go to our website. I got the links down there, HHFpodcast.com. You can get over into our Discord, which is now open to everybody. And I don't have it up yet, but I will get that channel. The reboot request is going to be going live right as soon as I get done this. I just realized that, so I have incense burning behind me, and it looks like I'm on fire. I'm not actually. I just have incense back there. I just realized how funny that looked. All right, friends. Y'all stay spooky out there. Thank you so much. Ghost Guide Tom signing off. Take care, everybody. We'll talk real soon.